So, hi Kathy.
Hello Cindy, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. And how are you?
Yes, I'm actually fine.
You're at a very busy point in your career, juggling
Yes,
a lot of
very.
different things at the moment.
A lot of travelling currently, but yes.
And we'll come on to that in a minute.
Mhm.
I first of all just wanted you to introduce yourself as to how you ended up in the music business.
Well, it's a long story. My dad actually was a great listener to music, and so he had all these amazing records in the house. So I listened to jazz and Nat King Cole and Frank Sinatra, all the people of the time, the show tunes and all that stuff. But he also liked Bach, and he also liked Hindemith, and he also liked Chicago blues. So I had this amazingly kind of eclectic. The Beatles, we had everything, going. So I had this kind of right from being a baby, really. I had this really kind of amazing, I don't know, what would it be, melange or of music going on around me. And I particularly always like the jazz. I like the beat of the jazz. I really like the Nat King Cole and the Nelson Riddle records and all that kind of thing. But as a teenager, I got into folk music actually and started singing. And the people at the time were Elton John was one of my favourite players, and Leo Sayer and all those guys. Don McLean, that was the first album I bought was American Pie, so I loved that. So I had all these things going in the background. When I was a very small child, I went to a choir. I mean, I must have been 6 or 7, and it was run by a lady who had been to Hungary and had actually learnt the Kodai method from them. And it basically gave me all the skills I needed at that age to actually become a musician. She was really fierce and incredibly perfectionist and very, very good. And so we were singing all kinds of interesting music. I mean, the first thing I sang when I must have been 6 was The Ceremony of Carols by Benjamin Britten. And I remember sitting in this church, in Hastings actually as it was, and hearing the harp and hearing the voices. And I was just transfixed by being in this live music setting, which I'd never been in before. And we did all kinds of concerts with that choir, and it was just so brilliant to be involved in making that music at that level so young. And then I played the violin for a bit, and I was in the youth orchestra, and I did all that kind of classical stuff, so I learnt to play all that. And then I took the guitar up and did some singing and songwriting and that kind of thing, and then gradually got into jazz. And I got into jazz because I was staying at a house with somebody who was playing jazz records. And I heard it was Wardell Gray playing Small Hotel, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And I was really transfixed by that music. It was on a disc. It actually was on a Charlie Parker disc, so I thought it was Charlie Parker, but of course it wasn't. And then later I met my husband, and he'd been given a record collection. The first thing I heard was Mingus, Goodbye Pork Pie Hat from the Mingus Workshop Big Band. And it was Booker Erwin playing this solo, like this kind of wailing, lamenting solo.
Yes.
And that was an epiphany moment. I was like, what is this music? I need to be part of this. And that's when I started to play jazz. And I started because I started to play chords, so I played chords for ages.
So this was on the guitar?
This was on the guitar. I joined somebody who was another guitarist and played the chords for him playing, for ages.
Yes.
Because I needed to get all that together. And then gradually got to improvising, and then went to Leeds College of Music.
Okay, and when
they let me in. They shouldn't have done actually, because I didn't have a clue at that time, but they did, because I think they realised that I was committed to it.
Yes. So were you gigging at the time then?
Yes, doing little gigs right from the beginning. I've always done gigs actually, from being a small child. Concerts and things. But then yes, I was gigging as doing these little gigs with the guitarist, and I met my husband, and we started doing little gigs and had bands.
Right.
So we've been playing right from the beginning. Yeah.
Okay, and then from being in going to Leeds College and doing the gigging, you because you have these different facets of the things that you're interested in. You're doing the performing, but you're also very recognised on the education side.
Yeah, I did.
In music as well. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when we left Leeds, we used to run Leeds Jazz, so we did put little concerts on as well. That was really good. So I had a load of experience promoting, and that was really excellent. And then we toured Europe. And my husband and I, saxophone and guitar, and a daughter was with us then, so we did all that. And we came back, and I took an MA up later on. Went to Salford and did an MA in jazz performance. And then I did a thesis in that MA, which was about learning jazz improvisation, and I was able to take that forward to do a PhD. And then I got really interested in the cognitive side. and I was trying to understand what happens in the brain when you improvise, and I couldn't, because I couldn't understand the neuro literature, the brain literature. So I did a neuroanatomy
Wow.
medical module at biomedical sciences
gosh.
department and it was dissection, brain dissection, the real thing.
Really?
Oh yeah. And then I taught on it for several years because they were so interested in having a musician in the department.
Okay.
That are all technical doctors,
Yeah.
and medical people. They were fascinated by the whole
So were
project.
you actually working with,
medics?
I guess, patients?
No. I was working with students. I was teaching,
Okay,
and I was
students.
doing demonstrating and tutorials for students around the brain stuff. And that, of course, I learned so much more doing that. It was
So
fantastic.
you didn't have.
Oh no, I didn't have any because
You didn't have people as being kind of guinea pigs.
No. Well, I did a lot of that when I'd actually done I did a lot of research on trying to work out what was happening, and I did a lot of practical research, but no medical, because you need to have done it all.
I was thinking more of the doing testing of to see what's happening and using these scanning devices.
I was only in the teaching side. I would have had to have done a lot more medical stuff to actually get all that. And to be honest with you, the MRI scans and whatnot are in use like 24/7 for people with illnesses.
Yeah.
I mean, to actually make a case to say, I want to look at. They can, and in some places they do that, but they have to have massive funding schemes to do it. Yeah. So no, this was about trying to understand what's happening in the brain and trying to understand the literature around it, so that I could actually try and that was fascinating.
Really
that was fascinating
stuff.
And it was really good to teach on it. Because
and then so you've got the educational side, the performing, and you've also done the you've been a bit of promotion work as well.
Yeah, we never did it for making money. We did it in order to bring people together to do gigs, to try and raise the local scene a bit and try and get people coming to areas which they weren't doing before. Yeah. And I always enjoyed that.
So you've been on both sides.
Yes. I think it's important to understand the promotion side, especially if you're doing it. A lot of promoters in jazz are volunteers, and you have to really appreciate that and understand what they're going through to try and get people to come. It's quite a difficult thing,
So having a career in music is difficult.
It's challenging.
It is challenging. So I'd be interested to hear maybe if you can think of a time which was particularly challenging that maybe made you question what you were doing and continuing to do it and how you got through that.
Well, I think as a jazz musician, you're continually questioning it because you have such small audiences. I mean, it's actually on the face of it quite an irrational thing to do, to carry on trying to create and trying to be really interesting in what you play and trying to be much more spontaneous in your improvising and all that kind of thing when people aren't particularly interested in any of that.
Yeah.
So
and
I think
a lot of gigs might be that they just want you to be background music.
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of got over that now. I think any opportunity to play is a good one. And if you're background music, well, then you're background music and you do the best you can. Loads of people are in that position. Yeah. And you play for yourself and you make sure it's the best that you can do. And you often play really well actually in those sorts of situations. So I think the whole thing is challenging, and I think you've got to keep yourself going creatively on an almost daily basis to say, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to improve, I'm going to write some new music, I'm going to try and get out of my comfort zone, because we all get into this zone, don't we? Where we think what we're playing is okay and it'll do, but actually we need to be much more. So I kind of go along with the Shaolin guys, the martial arts people, that is just do it every day, just do it, and out of that comes everything else. And you have your self-respect and you have your ability to improve and think outside of what you're doing by doing it. Just do it. And don't worry about all the other things. Because everybody faces all those other things increasingly anyway, to be frank.
They do. And it's interesting to see the numbers of people who actually start out in different art forms, whether it's music or painting or something else, when they're younger. And they start out, and then of course there's all those other pressures, and it's difficult to make a living out of being a creative person. And they leave it and they come back to it. That's something that's happening more often. And then of course you come back to it later, and there are other challenges like being older and in an industry that actually youth is something that. Is more appealing, and it's difficult with promoters. Have you had any experience of that?
I just think you have as a woman, as a person who's interested in other people, have to promote other kinds of ways of being rather than the media and gender stereotypes and every other kind of stereotype they promote. Actually, it's
Yeah.
incredibly narrow. It's all part of that neoliberal agenda, which I think we should just reject. You know, and the more people we promote, and the more. This is why I'm doing these little interviews, and with just saying there are all different kinds of people out there. There's all different kinds of takes on what we do,
and there's all different kinds of audiences.
all different kinds of audiences, and you need to what you need to find the niche that you can fit into, but also you need to challenge those stereotypes by doing the opposite to that. You know, mainstream media is just awful at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, and it actually continually kind of pulls people apart rather than bring them together. So whatever we do, we have to bring people together.
Yeah.
Make connections. So the connection between the audience and the musician is being broken by Amazon and Apple and all these people who are just streaming anything, anywhere, anytime. Just one person's name on it, no information about the bands, no idea about the album concept, no idea about what the purpose of the music was, just having this stuff that you can come and go and in and out. And so we need to make that connection back, And I think a lot of jazz musicians have that connection. They have their audience, they know their audience, they talk to them all the time, they talk to them on gigs there, and I think you have to continually do that.
Yeah.
Make the connections and build on that connection.
There's
So
an
that
awful
people
lot more that
understand,
musicians have to be good at.
Yeah.
Not just playing their instrument anymore.
Yes.
There's an awful lot more engagement in different ways to try to build that audience.
Yes, and I think that's it's partly problematic because you have to be a marketing person, a promotion, and you have to be good at filming, and you have to be good at sound recording, and you have to be good and all this stuff. It's really quite difficult to do all those things well.
Yes.
You can do some of them well,
and generally they'll cost you money.
Exactly. That's the
You're
other thing.
not
Well,
earning
that's the
very
other thing.
much
You see,
money.
you've got your mega corporations, Apple and so forth. They are taking up, vacuuming up all this thing that they call content, which could be, it's films, it's all sorts of things, music, and they're aggregating that and making huge sums of money from it, and not paying anything to the musicians.
Yeah.
The musicians are investing in equipment and time, and to actually get to a point where they get sucked up by Apple, and at the other end you have the consumer that who's actually just able to listen to any music from any time on any device anywhere for almost free, even if they pay for it.
Yes.
And the musician is in the middle, being squeezed by both sides. So we have to unravel that, and you have to. So I think there is a point to say to Amazon and Apple and people, you need to sustain the creators morally. You have that moral, and I think they may be open to that.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's no other leverage. You can't make them do it. It's a kind of persuasion. Yeah. And at the other end, we have to say to people, if you want this great music to continue, you have to sustain the creators.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because when you think about there've been lots of instances where the public become aware of, say, the situation with Carluccio's.
Yes.
And this, the service charge and how that was being paid out. That when the public are aware of the unfairness of and how people are being treated, people do change their behaviours.
They do.
So there is a whole area there about how to actually change attitudes and behaviours when it comes to the public. That change the environment for the benefit for musicians, which kind of brings us on to one of the reasons why you're here today, Kathy, because you're travelling around the country and engaging with members of the Musicians Union. You've been an activist in the union for a long time.
Yeah.
You've been on the executive committee. You've been chairperson of the regional committee. You've been very active, and you clearly are somebody who's very passionate about the union, and you've put yourself forward. Yes, and we're now in a ballot, facing a ballot situation.
It opens on Monday. Monday the ballot papers go out.
Yeah, to be General Secretary, and it would be wonderful to have a woman in that role. But the gender is not really the issue here.
No.
But it's worth pointing out that there never has been a woman in that role.
No.
But with all the different experiences that you've got, it brings a different possibilities to what would happen with the union, and some of the things that you talked about just in the last 15 minutes we've been chatting. So maybe you could just talk a little bit more about some of those issues about the grassroots level for musicians, and about the value of music and what you think the union could be doing that might improve the situation?
Well, I think our strength is our collective strength, and these 30,000 members standing together is a lot stronger than just the officials standing, or just the stewards and the orchestra standing, or just us who are activists standing. So I think we need to get back to a much more organising model of trade unionism, in which we involve members in decision making better. Because currently, again, our democratic processes are rather arcane and old. A lot of them were got together in the 19th century. We're now in the 21st century, and a lot of people times have completely changed, and people, our democratic processes have to be more relevant to the way people are and the way they think and the way they work. So we have to, our ballots are currently very low turnout ballots, because people are clearly not interested.
Well,
and
it's not just not just for us.
No, it's for everybody.
Isn't it?
But ours are particularly low. So we need to get that back together. I think we need to have, we need to have policies and strategies for each area of music that we cover. A bit like I just mentioned about the technological side. We need to have a plan about how to deal with that, and we need to move forward with it. And we need to give people. I think musicians. We need to give them back some dignity and hope and self-respect, because it's so devalued at the moment. There's no money to be made in recording. The fees that you're getting as a freelancer are low. I mean, they're actually lower than they were, say in the 80s and before. They're actually lower. They're not the same. And everywhere, local authority cuts and funding cuts are actually trying to, a lot of players are under threat. And I think we need very strong policies to stop that, and to persuade people that music has to be invested in, and that if you see it, you have to pay for it. You know? And I don't think it's impossible, as you say. I think it's about having really strong campaigns, which everybody in the union is involved with, to say, actually, this is unacceptable. If you want this to continue, you're going to have to pay for it and value it. Because there's nobody that you talk to that doesn't value music, including all the politicians, but they will not invest in it properly and sustain people who do it. And so I think on a number of different levels we need those campaigns. But I think we need, as musicians, to stand together, like women to women need to. Women need to support other women, and we need to support the men. Obviously, we need to support each other, but in a much more, much more solidarity about, and making sure we get the right fees, so that people don't undercut, that students understand that they can't continually do that, that unscrupulous promoters should be brought to book, held responsible and accountable. And that can't be done unless everybody in the union, or a large proportion of it anyway, are more actively and collectively involved. And that is my vision for it. And it is a change of culture, better communication, dialogue, collaboration with other organisations, And I've tried to start that on this. I've tried to begin this on this
journey.
This journey.
This journey.
Yes, right.
Yes. A magical mystery tour. But there's also, of course, we're both members of the union, but you go around the country, and I'm sure you're experienced in this as well as I am, that actually when it comes to the musicians that are out there making music, a large number of them are not members of the union.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. I think we need a massive recruitment plan.
But there's also, because it is expensive to join the union, and there are, for some people, that there is that question of whether or not there's actually, for them at that time, because we know there's no money to being, very little money being made in music. So there's how do we extend a hand out to people who it's in our interest to actually bring them on board, who maybe are not in a position to be members of the union right now, but that as a community, that we are working with them as well. How can we do that?
Well, I think there's two elements to this. The first is we need to look at our subscription income. Our subscription levels. So they need to be much more graded. At the moment we've just got one rate, which is the £200 a year, £200 plus a year. And I think that is prohibitive for a lot. And that's what's come. Actually, that's come out a lot in my little tour of the country. People are saying that we're missing a trick here, because a lot of people can't afford it, and we need to have different grades of money. We used to have that, so I think that's a. But I think also we have to get involved in the local community, and there may be, and the local communities, because there has to be a many-sided collaborative approach to trying to improve rates and trying to value musicians. And so we may be thinking about how we might I know Unite, for example, have community members. I don't know whether that would be possible for musicians, but we should think about that. And I mean, another suggestion that I had is to do like a fair trade music initiative where we involve local promoters, local business, local government, local community, arts organisations, musicians in a group to try and make sure that in those venues in that area that a decent rate of money is paid.
Yeah.
You know, by whatever means necessary.
Yeah.
You know, a bit of support, a bit of this, a bit of whatever. And that is happening all over the States, and that's through the union, the AFM.
Yes.
And I think we should look at that.
Mm.
Again, it's bringing people together to try and sort an issue out that you know, one or two people or one particular organisation may not be able to.
Yeah.
And make people aware that
Yeah.
we're I really don't think a lot of audience members understand that you're not being paid properly. I don't think they get it.
I don't think so. It'd be great, and from my own viewpoint, and I'm sure other people feel the same ways. There's ways of communicating, the marketing side of things that we need to do to communicate with the public better, rather than necessarily selling the union to members.
Absolutely, yeah. And raising the profile of what it does.
Yeah, I mean, when you're putting it in terms of how much does it cost for a cup of coffee, and people buy how many cups of coffee in a day, or how much is it to go to the cinema, cinema ticket, or those equivalencies, and when people think about going into a pub. And what if there was extra money on the beer or the wine or whatever for somebody to be able to? It'd be great to see the union thinking more creatively and opening up to the different ideas.
Yeah, of course.
Which
and we are the union. It's not the union. It's we are it. It's our union. It's us.
Yeah.
It's not some nebulous kind of abstract thing out there. It's us. So
It
we
is
are
us.
all responsible. We are it.
Yes, we are it. Yes, but going back to the community and the people who are not members, there's sometimes an undercurrent within the fraternity of musicians where we actually distinguish categories of musicians between and what is a professional. And I think for a lot of musicians out there, they do that to themselves as well, which devalues what they do, because they don't see themselves as being professional, because there's nothing written down that says a professional is this. But what does professional mean to you?
Well, in terms of the union, as it's a trade union is all to do with improving paying conditions. That's the bread and butter work, and so the union has always been about improving the paying conditions for people who are in work, and also the gigging musicians. But I mean, in actual fact, there are only around 5,000 people who are actually employed in the union full time, as in orchestras, and that's probably on the high side. So there are actually 25,000 people who are freelancers, and most of the people that I know make a large amount of their income from teaching. Yeah. So that's really important that we address the collective bargaining for teachers is really for instrumental music teachers. And what we have been doing is, in fact, Diane from our education department, she's been negotiating with other unions. So, for example, you can be a classroom teacher, music teacher, and a gig, and do gigs, and have half and half membership, and it costs the same. So I think we should expand that. I think increasingly people are having to do other things to make a living because the fees are so low, and so at the same time as we are actually trying to improve those things, then we should be actually embracing any. I mean, my husband's thought of a slogan which is everybody in. So everybody should be part. I mean, I think it's really hard to define what a professional musician is now. Yeah. And I think this portfolio
what does it mean
career.
To you?
To me, it means a commitment to being a musician. Yeah. That is your primary thing. And then
whether you're making because it's what you are. That's where all your money comes from.
Yes,
or not.
It's what your identity is and what you are. I mean, I was talking to a singer-songwriter in Birmingham the other day, and he does all sorts of things. Yeah. He does community music, he does a songwriting circle, he does gigs, he's support band, he does his own recordings. The recordings don't make any money, and nobody's recordings make any money at all. Yeah. They're just there to show to get gigs and and so
there are lots of people out there who have gone, or who are doing other jobs that are maybe not music related.
Absolutely.
To be able to, continue with music, which is the thing that they really would like to be doing and making money out of, but can't. Yeah. And the union is for those people too.
Absolutely, and I think we should do the same thing there. We could maybe negotiate with other unions that they're in so they get protection on both sides. Yeah. I don't see any issue with that. Yeah. And I think we have to address those things.
Yeah.
Because there's so few people actually now earning proper money.
Mm.
I mean, even those people employed are not earning great money.
Yes.
Generally
exactly.
speaking, there aren't many people earning a lot of
they
money
can
at all.
doing all sorts of jobs to be able to support what they want to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So
And we can redefine. We could redefine what professional means. Through but I don't think it's necessary.
Because I think that in talking to people that is sometimes there's a break, and I think that can cause issues for people who are actually who don't have those other jobs. They're trying to use music because to make their income, get their income, and then you have other people who are music's what they want to do, but they're taking other jobs that afford them to do the gigs that pay very little, and so we end up with this conflict situation. So it's not helping us.
No.
So that
I think
that's
the environment's changed completely.
Exactly.
And it will continue to change. To be aware of what's going on.
So I'm conscious of our time. There was just one other thing that I wanted to ask you about. It seems I'm interviewing you. I'm focusing on the things that I'm particularly interested in, which is the grassroots side of things, but also women and women in music. And there's a lot of issues that and considering the year that we're in, where we're at. Well, I suppose with Trump and all the various other things that have arisen, it shouldn't be a surprise, but there's a lot of different things going on for women in music, from women who are actually musicians and the kind of issues that they're facing, to actually some of the issues around people who, the audience attending and women and the kind of issues that they're facing with harassment and so I've just are there particular areas that you're being interested in and that you'd like to focus on that might?
I think the main one for me is the lack of female instrumentalists. I mean, there's quite a few singer-songwriters, but there's almost a complete lack of female instrumentalists in pop, rock, and folk that are instrumentalists. I know a couple, but very few. And I was at a venue recently and looking at the kind of promo video for the next few months, and there was 120 men in the bands, because I counted them all.
Right. Okay.
120 men, 12 women, 8 vocalists, so 4 instrumentalists out of 100 odd.
Yeah.
So people are kind of being again stereotyped as singers, or there are singer-songwriters that play, and they're very good. I mean, I think that's not to, but actually, so that the role model aspect of being a pop or rock or folk instrumentalist is a real issue.
Yeah.
And I think that we really have to counter that. I mean, I think it's become, it's just, they're invisible, It's like, why is this?
Yeah.
Is it the promoters? Is it the fact that women are coming through? What is the issue?
Yeah.
Here, because a lot of girls start. I know a lot of girls start like this.
Well, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because when you look at the statistics within education and the split, the gender split, how we get from that point where it's almost equal, to where we end up with
something happens, and I think it's to do with. Well, I think it's to do with the gendering of instruments. There are certain instruments that girls are seen to be, and I think that's particularly kind of crucial at the adolescent stage, where things are, rocky anyway in all kinds of ways. That people are kind of become very self-conscious about those things in a way that they don't either before or after. And that's a crucial time for when people are deciding what they're going to do, when their identity is growing, when they're up against their peers. And somehow boys get through that and focus on that, and girls don't seem to do it in the same way. Not always. And I mean, for example, if you take classical music. Now there are equal or more numbers of women playing in orchestras, which is a really good sign.
It's an interesting. I was at a conference a while ago, and it was from a university in Norway where they have a jazz program, and the leader of that program was talking about it and talking about this very thing, and. There's all sorts of different factors at play here, but one of the things that he highlighted that I thought was really interesting was that the differences between girls and boys at a younger age, when you're looking at teenage years, and how boys, whether they can play an instrument or not, decide to form a band and get into
that's right.
garage and start playing.
Yeah.
But girls don't feel confident enough to do that. They seem to need to be able to be at a certain level
before they'll
first,
do it.
before they'll do it.
Yeah.
So there's some really big, if that, which I feel, being a female and having been a teenager and seen what's gone on, I feel there's a lot to that.
Yeah, I think there is. I think it must be.
And I wonder, so for a union who, because we're interested in, there being musicians coming up, what do you feel? How do you feel about what the union can be?
Well, I think
doing
we
to
can
influence things.
I think we can be taking on the promoters, because one of my colleagues said to me that promoters who are promoting bands, think that their audience will only appreciate men playing. Well, they don't see women playing the same way. So that's an attitude thing that we can try and tackle at some point. I mean, I've got another friend who's running the Izzy Barrett, who's running the National Youth Jazz Collective, and she's doing all girl courses, and that's making a huge difference. And so is Janine Irons at Tomorrow's Warriors, and that again, that's people are coming through from that program. So that's clearly a really good thing to do, to have all women together, girls together, and to encourage them and to build their confidence. And once it's built, that's it. They're fine. They're off, and they can cope in the. And it works, that works. So I think we should be encouraging all those kinds of things. I think making people aware of it is and then there'll be lots of research. There is a lot of research. There'll be more encouraging, obviously, education institutions to think about the way that they. And if there are definite gender differences between the way that the girls and boys approach this, maybe there should be more awareness about how that affects the educational side. And whether there should be different approaches to that. The funders should be aware of it, because the funders should be trying to fund things that improve the situation. There's a whole raft of different things that can be done and encouraged and made. People being flagged up and so forth. I mean, we have about 9,000 women in between 8,000 and 9,000 at any one time, which is about a third. But we should have more, really. I would say, and we just need more women role models throughout. Because the other girls will be encouraged. I used to do a masterclass at LIPA years ago with Paul Mitchell-Davidson at the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts, and we used to play jazz guitar and talk about guitars and playing and whatnot. And somebody came up to me from there years later and said, "I saw you," and I decided to play the guitar.
Oh, brilliant!
And it's Natalie McCool. I don't know if you know her. She's a great singer-songwriter, and she said it. And so you never know.
Yeah, there is a
and I think it's really important.
It is.
And she's become this amazing. Singer-songwriter performer, playing the guitar really well, and I think I was really shocked by that. I was shocked when she said that, but I think it's so important that
if it's always men that you see doing things, then you're not even thinking about it.
Yeah, that's right. So
it's interesting because with the project that I'm working on at the moment, and I'm trying to have women doing whether it's photography, whether it production. I'm hoping to. My intention is to record it at the end of the year. So it's an all-female lineup, and I'd really like it to be female sound engineer and production.
That's another area.
Percentage of females in
techies and technical
5%, 6%.
It's a whole area where women don't go. That's right.
And it's so personally, I feel it's going to impact on me. I'm thinking, well, to get somebody with some experience, I'd love to get somebody. So if anybody's listening to this, jazz. But there's a huge. That's a shocking statistic though on the production side.
Oh yeah, I know. And I remember when I used to teach at Leeds, there was one girl who came to the production department. It was epic, it was amazing, and she was brilliant, of course. And it was just so good, and everybody thought it was great. I mean. Well, the other guys did, the teachers did. It was just like a recognition that we need to do this more. What's the problem here? Why aren't we getting? I mean, I think there are. I know a neighbour of mine is doing production, and she's just got it, and she's really enjoying it. But again, she's on her. I think there's 2 girls or something, which it's astonishing, really. And we have to break down all these gender stereotypes, and we have to make it more. But I think. People have to be seen to be doing it, and then young women and girls will think, become role models are really important.
Yeah.
And when it becomes normal for everybody to do everything, as in it's gender and also race, and there's diversity everywhere, then I think it'll change.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we can do all sorts of things to bring that on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Well, on that note, I'll bring things to a close, but perhaps you can just remind us when the ballot is happening and whether there's any thing you'd like to tell us as to where to find more information.
Oh yes, there's my website, which is kathy-dyson.uk, and there's a Facebook page, and so you can find all my policy statements and all the rest of it on there. And the ballot opens on the 6th of March, and it finishes on the 27th, so you'll get your ballot papers on the 7th or 8th. So my message to you is, please vote. You must vote. It's really important, because whoever it is that wins the General Secretary election has to have a mandate, and that mandate has to be strong. So we really need people to vote, and I know that it's been very low numbers for voting, so it's really important. And if you could tell all your colleagues that are in the MU to vote as well, that would be really helpful. So I'll be sending more stuff out. I'll be carrying on sending stuff out right up until the the deadline. But
and I know that you're trying to engage with people, which is why you're travelling around at the moment, and you're trying to meet up with people. Are there ways that people can get in touch with you if they have questions, or they want to ask about what your policies are?
Yes, there you can. I've put all my information. All my information's on the website, including my private number, my email. It's all there. I haven't had a lot of feedback, so I've had a lot of views and whatnot. But one of my main tranches of policy is to get a dialogue going with members, and I would really appreciate it if you got in touch.
Yeah.
Any feedback, if you don't agree with me, please tell me. It's whatever. Any observations, thoughts, criticisms, whatever. I think it's so important. And I think we really need to sort this out, because I think the MU has been broadcasting in terms of communication, and I think we need to get the dialogue going. So I would really be pleased to hear from you.
It's been a bit one way.
I would be really pleased to hear from you. Please tell me what you think. Get this. I've started talking to people. We've initiated debates, and I think we should just keep it going. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much,
Thank
Kathy.
you. Thank you for having me.
It's been great to spend some time with you, and it's exciting times, and
I feel very positive. I've had very positive responses, actually. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting people and talking to members and getting ideas and throwing ideas out and seeing what the response is. It's really interesting. It's been really good. Yeah. So whatever happens, I think it's been really positive.
Great. Well, good luck. And
thank
you. And I hope you'll be back to visit again.
Well, yes, I hope so. Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.